afternoon, everyone. I, Mudita Raj, Assistant Professor, Delhi Metropolitan Education, welcome you all to the 33rd episode of the Vibrant India series. I also welcome all our viewers who are watching us live on Facebook. Vibrant India series, VIS, is an initiative of DME Media School for celebrating 75 years of India's independence. This series will be a year-long exercise. As a part of this series, we invite inspiring personalities for online talk, interview, and interaction with our students. The invited personalities for this series are from all walks of life and all parts of the country. And today, our special guest is Group Captain Ashok K. Chordia, Indian Air Force veteran and author. I would like to take a moment and introduce Delhi Metropolitan Education to all our viewers. Delhi Metropolitan Education, DME, is an A-grade premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, New Delhi, and approved by the Bar Council of India. This institute offers BBA, BA-LLB, and BBA-LLB with BCI approval and BA-JMC programs. DME believes in imparting world-class education to its students while training them to develop and enhance their skills. This education and training enables them in taking up challenges of the industry and creating a space for themselves with their competence and vigor. DME Media School is one of the most promising media institutes in the country. It offers BA in journalism and mass communication. It is recognized as a school focused on the growth of its faculty and students through academic and co-curricular activities. Major flagship events and initiatives of the school include the BG Varghese Guest Lecture Series, Peer-to-Peer FTP, International Film Festival, SIFI, International Conference ICANN, and Ritika, Convention of Media Students. And newly added in the list is VIS, the Vibrant India series. It is our privilege to introduce you to our guest, the personality of the 33rd episode of the Vibrant India series. I now request Ishika Vadva, student, DME Media School, to introduce our guest of the day. Over to you, Ishika.
Thank you, ma'am. Group Captain Ashok Chordia is Indian Air Force veteran and author. He is an alumnus of the National Defense Academy and the College of Air Warfare. He hung his uniform in November 2016 after 35 years of commissioned service. Besides being a logistic officer in the IAF, he specialized as a parachute jump instructor and a Garud Special Forces instructor. He was a member of the Indian contingent launched by then Prime Minister Mr. Rajiv Gandhi to rescue President M.A. Gayoom of the Maldives, Operation Cactus, the Maldives, November 1988. A seminal study by him has been published as a book titled Operation Cactus, Anatomy of One of India's Most Daring Military Operations. Discovery Channel has a telecast documentary based on his book. Now a feature film is in the offing. As a senior fellow at the Center for Air Path Studies, New Delhi, he has presented papers and published articles on contemporary issues of geostrategic and military importance, guided university interns, edited publications, and has conducted seminars and capsule courses for school and university students and young officers. He was a guest speaker at the Military Literature Festival at Chandigarh. Post-retirement, he has been visiting corporate houses, delivering talks. He lectures at A.K. Garg Engineering College, where he was appointed as adjunct faculty. Occasionally, he discusses management case studies at management institutes in NCR. Now, let us see a few glimpses from his life.
Thank you, sir, for joining us today. It is indeed an honor to host you. I now request Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, Head DME Media School, to please welcome the guest. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mudita. Vibrant India series is a tribute to all those people who made supreme sacrifices for the independence of our mother. India will be completing 75 years of independence this year. We started celebrations last year only. This program has been launched as a part of these celebrations. In the first episode of Vibrant India series, our guest was Brigadier P.K. Saxena, who served the country in 2 wars. Following this, Madam Bhavrin Kandhari, a known environment activist, Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary, senior media educator, Dr. Nakul Parashar, science communicator and director of Vikram Prasad, Dr. Monisha Behel, social activist from the Northeast, Mr. Rajesh Badal, senior journalist, writer and filmmaker, Colonel R.K. Durgan, professor and advisor at Amity School of Communication, Amity University, Noida, graced this program. To name the other celebrated personality in the series, Mr. Ashish Kulkarni, the pioneer of animation industry in India, Tripti as single, an entrepreneur and a starter, Captain Dhamveer Singh, a versatile personality and an army man, Madam Jyotika Kalra, member of National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Sanjay Banerjee, a sport journalist, broadcaster, and commentator, Mr. Augustine Vallet, communication specialist with UNICEF, Sufi Sayyid Nizami, custodian of Sufi Dargah Nizamuddin Aulia, Dr. Dev Aikar, media educator from the University of North Carolina in the US, Ms. Pallavi Fauzdar, an attentive motorcyclist and social worker, Mr. S.P. Raval, an entrepreneur and author, Dr. Mridula Tandon, doctor and entrepreneur, Mr. Virendra Kumar Gaur, retired Inspector General of BSF and author, Mr. Ashok Pradhan, bureaucrat and educationalist, Dr. Mridula Seth, mental health advocate and researcher, Mr. Balendu Sharma, Dadichi, an entrepreneur, digital media expert, have graced the Vibrant India series. In the making of the country, we all play our roles as a soldier, doctor, engineer, as educator, journalist, lawyer, environment activist, social worker, as science communicator, filmmaker, as human rights protector, sports person, literary person, advocate, theater artist, mental health advocate, promoter and advocate of Hindi and other languages. So, today in episode 33, we have an inspiring personality with us, Group Captain Ashok K. Chordia, an Indian Air Force veteran and author. Welcome, sir, in VIS.
Thank you, Professor Bala.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I now request Professor Dr. Amrish Saxena, Dean DME Media School, and originator and ideator of the Vibrant India series, to address the gathering and take the program forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Marita. So it's a matter of great pleasure that today we have Group Captain Ashok Chordia with us. It's a long-awaited session, though this whole series is of 75 episodes and we have been having so many illustrious personalities with us. But then getting a personality like Group Captain Chordia is not an easy task. He was very forthcoming though, right from the beginning, but because of his health issues and other reasons, it was not becoming possible. So we are fortunate that today he is with us. This whole series, as it has already been told, has been conceived to bring all such personalities to our students who are inspiring and who can motivate our student to do something good in their life. So that's the whole idea behind. And the students' participation has also been very encouraging in the sense that they are there right from the beginning in the program, whether it's the anchoring or attending this session, participating in the session, and asking their queries and the questions. And the whole format is like this, wherein we have 4 segments of the program. After this segment, we would request you, Group Captain Chordia, to narrate your life journey with us, with all those experiences, all those anecdotes which you can narrate to us, tell to us, wherein there's something to inspire all the challenges, because you have been such a illustrious career in the Air Force, and you have been in so many operations, and particularly, as it has already been mentioned, the Operation Cactus, which is of vital importance to us because it happened in our neighborhood, and that's considered one of the most significant operations that Indian Defense Forces have had. So all such challenges or the problems or all such things that you faced in your career, in your life, wherein there is something hidden to our students, to us all, even to the teachers, wherein we can pick up something from your life, and if we can translate all that in our lives, then our life will be better, and we will be able to contribute more significantly towards the betterment of the society. So with these words, I stop here, and I will request you, Group Captain Chordia, to address us and share all your experiences with us. Thank you.
I wish to thank Professor Saxena and DME for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you. It is indeed my privilege to be a part of Vibrant India series. In the next 20 minutes allotted to me, I'll try to share some of my life's experiences with you, and I hope you'll find something worthwhile in what I share with you. I have been on planet Earth for more than 60 years, and 35 of these years have been spent with the Air Force. Besides the Air Force, I have spent 25 years in the civilian life. And let me tell you, regardless of wherever I have been, my life has been enjoyable. I have enjoyed every moment of my life. I'll start with a prayer which I read as a child. It goes like this: Jabar dine ei gothati bole jete chai, ja dekhechi, ja shunechi. It's a long prayer in Gitanjali by Guru Rabindranath Tagore, and it means that the day I leave this earth, I want to go saying that whatever I have done, whatever I have seen, whatever I have learned is not comparable to anything in the world. And in my case, I think it is already coming true. Whatever I have enjoyed in life is not comparable to anything I see around. For the purpose of this talk, I'll summarize my life's experiences into bullet points and try to illustrate them with my experiences. The first thing, it is my experience that things do not happen as per plans. We plan our lives in great details. We take help from others. We do a lot of research and we go ahead with plans. And as it happens in wars and in battles, the one of the first casualties is the plans. Whatever plans we make, they don't seem to be working. In my case, it is as true as it has been in most cases. I was studying in St. Stephen's College, Delhi, and then suddenly a thought came to my mind that I must join the armed forces. So I cleared the UPSC and went for the SSB. My first choice was Indian Army, but then for some silly reasons, I joined the Air Force. I thought that I would be able to change my service during training in the fourth term, and then I was too lazy to write an application. And for that silly reason, I continued to be in the Air Force. In the Air Force, I was destined, I was supposed to be training to be a pilot, but then I didn't do well as a trainee pilot and I was grounded. I became a logistics officer. Then an opportunity came my way to become a parachute jump instructor. So I grabbed that opportunity and became a parachute jump instructor, and that changed my life. Here I would like to say that being adaptable pays huge dividends in life. Things may not happen the way we want them to happen, but then if we are adaptable, perhaps things work out better in life. I became a parachute jump instructor. My life changed, as I said, and I was doing something which I enjoyed doing, and it wasn't work for me at all. Picking up a parachute and jumping out of the aeroplane was all that I was doing. In the years that I spent at paratroopers training school, I trained hundreds of paratroopers. I did more than 500 jumps myself. I became a part of the Indian Air Force's skydiving team, Akash Ganga. I was lucky to be considered for a very special mission that was Operation Cactus. I was a part of it, and that experience is a different experience in itself. President Gayoom was surrounded by terrorists in the Maldives, and he sought help from many countries, including India, the US, the UK, Pakistan, and so many other countries. Most of the countries either didn't help or said that they would consider something. And then his life was at stake when Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi directed the Indian Armed Forces to undertake this mission. I was lucky to be a part of this mission. I landed there with the aircraft, and the president was rescued in less than about 12 hours from the go-ahead orders. That proved the prowess of the Indian diplomacy and the military, and that operation placed India among the leading countries in Asia. Later, I joined the Garuds, the special forces of the Indian Air Force, commanded them for some time. After this opportunity at Paratroopers Training School to be a part of Operation Cactus, much later in service, I got an opportunity to research this operation, and I grabbed that opportunity also. Normally, as a parachute jump instructor or as a person involved in physical activities, you wouldn't indulge in academics. But then I took this plunge also, researched this operation for 3 years, interviewed a large number of people, went through a large number of official documents, and published a book on Operation Cactus. That book today is considered as a Bible on the subject. Discovery Channel, as was mentioned in my introduction, Discovery Channel made a documentary based on that book, and now Bollywood is trying to make a feature film. That opportunity to write the book started off another chain reaction. I started rediscovering myself towards the end of my days in the Air Force. When I was about to complete my stint with the Air Force, I started writing a blog. I started writing short stories. One of the short stories that I wrote was made into a short film. And that film, incidentally, was shortlisted for 2 international awards, and the film got awards for the best short story and best actor. I did a, I mean, I'm always I have always been a keen learner. So while I started writing these short stories, I also did a course in creative writing with the British Council. The result was that I started writing more and more stories, and now I'm happy to know that another film is being made on one of my short stories, and the third one is in the pipeline. The result of these course and writing stories has also been that I've been requested by people to guide students in creative writing, and that has opened a new vista. I'm enjoying that process too. Somewhere down the line, I also realized that we as individuals, as human beings, keep reaping the benefits of what people have done earlier. People all through the years, ages, they have done something good, and we are reaping the benefits of those, reaping the fruits of their labor. Whenever an opportunity comes my way, I try to repay the society in my own small ways. When I came to Delhi for the first time in 1996, there was only one bridge, that Yamuna crossing around on the outer ring road near Akshardham. There were only 2 lanes, and whenever there used to be a breakdown of a vehicle, there used to be long jams. So we used to keep moving slowly, cursing the traffic, cursing the behavior of the people. One day I decided that I shouldn't be a spectator in this game. I should be a player. I should try to influence these things rather than getting influenced by them. So I started carrying a rope in my car. Whenever I used to see, after that, whenever I used to see a broken down vehicle, I used to approach the driver and used to ask him if I could be of any help. And invariably, the people caught in such a situation, a broken down vehicle, used to seek help to get towed away from that jam situation. So I started towing vehicles. In last about a dozen years, I have towed more than 100 vehicles, thereby trying to ease out the jams, thereby trying to help people to come to a comfortable place where their vehicles would be safe. I think I've taken sufficient time. I will now share, I want to leave you with a thought. And that thought is that in times to come, specialization won't matter much. Whatever you learn will be outdated very soon. So it would be a wise thing to be a keen learner, to learn as many new things as possible. Learning, unlearning, and relearning would be very important. I have benefited by following this particular thought process. Whenever an opportunity has come my way, I have tried to learn something new. As I mentioned earlier, I did this creative writing course and started writing stories. During the COVID period, when there was practically nothing to do, I started learning how to sculpting. It started with a very simple thing like using wood for kada in the morning. I used to cut that wood and I started carving in that material itself. So I learned how to carve. All those things are very therapeutic and you do not know when they come in handy. With these few thoughts and my experiences in life, I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing all such experiences with us. One question which is coming to my mind, because the participant in this session are mostly the students and the teachers. And one major thing that's always being confronted by the students, that they are always concerned about their career. Though this course that they are doing, this academic program, is journalism and mass communication, and so this much is clear that everybody is going to make a career directly or indirectly in journalism and mass communication. But it's still, mass communication is again a very diversified field. And then also this is a bachelor's degree, and after bachelor's degree, people have a lot of options open for further studies, for choosing this career or that career. So since, as you said, that you were studying in St. Stephen's, and there somehow, I mean, you decided to join the defense forces and all. So my question to you is, how a young person is studying in the bachelor's degree, what kind of planning, what kind of thinking should be there in the mind of his or her when it comes to taking a decision about career?
That's a very relevant question. And if I go back in time, say about 40 years or more than that, probably, why probably? I was also faced with similar situations. And having lived those 40 years after that, my conclusion is that one must focus on two things. Uh, in Hindi, as we say, ruchi and yogyata. What is your interest and what are your strengths and your capabilities? Keep those things in mind and then think about a career. It is, getting infatuated by something which others are doing, your neighbors are doing, is not a wise thing. What is your capability? What are your strengths? Keep those things in mind when you think about a career in any field. And in the same breath, I would say that having taken some steps in a particular direction, first is to weigh and consider all the options. And having weighed and considered all the options, and having moved on a path for some time, if at any point one feels that the decision taken was not an absolutely correct decision, it is not unwise to retrace and think of a different option. But that must not happen as a matter of habit. It must be a very, very rare thing to change tracks like I did. I mean, from St. Stephen's to joining the armed forces, I was supposed to be preparing for IAS. But then there were certain circumstances and I had to take that decision, and I never looked back after that.
Yeah. So another thing, since you talked about Operation Cactus, many of us have heard about that, have read about that to some extent, but then largely this audience, the majority, I feel, would not have been aware as to what happened. So if you can tell us, tell this audience in very, very brief, what exactly was the operation and what was your role and how did India executed this operation?
Oh, that subject is very close to my heart.
Yeah.
I would have, I mean, I can continue talking for days on end on the and on that subject. In a nutshell, I'll tell you, President Gayoom of the Maldives, he was, there were attempts to overthrow his government. There were several attempts to overthrow his government. None of them succeeded, except the one in 1988. There was a Maldivian businessman by the name of Abdullah Lutufi. He joined hands with one of the terrorist organizations operating from Sri Lanka, People's Liberation Organization of Tamil Eelam. He joined hands with them, and 80 of those men of PLOTE, they got into boats and they wanted to reach Malé at a time when President Gayoom was expected to be in India. So they set course from Sri Lanka and they were to land in the Maldives on the night of 2nd November, 3rd November, morning of 3rd November. The president of Maldives somehow got an inkling that something like this was going to happen, so he stayed back. So these terrorists, when they landed there, they thought that the president is not there, and they went on a rampage. They started shooting. The capital of Maldives, Malé, is a very small island, just about 2 kilometers by 1 kilometer. So when these terrorists landed there and they went on a shooting spree, they started killing people and started looting shops. The president went into hiding. He went and hid himself in the servants' quarter of a house. And from there, he started relaying messages to all these countries, to UK, to US, to Pakistan, to Sri Lanka. And all these countries knew that reaching the Maldives was a very, very tough task, because if the terrorists are sitting on the runway, they would shoot down the aeroplane bringing the special force, which is going to save the president. So all these countries kept on dilly-dallying. They said, we'll see what we can do. Let's see if we can do something and all those things. But Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi that day was in Patna on his way to Calcutta. He cut short his visit and he came back to Delhi. A meeting was called immediately, and the service chiefs who were there, they were there. The diplomats were there. Mr. Ronensen was his right-hand man that day. And they took a deliberate decision. They knew that the risks involved were very high. In case the aircraft which goes there to rescue the president, if it is shot at the time of landing, nothing can happen. I mean, you can't rescue the president. So a calculated risk was taken, and the paratroopers from Agra were taken on board. Now, my role in this operation was, in case, as I said earlier, in case the runway was unsafe, we wouldn't have landed there. And under certain conditions, we would have carried out a paradrop. We would have dropped paratroopers on the island. So my role would have been to drop these people. I have been an instructor, and my job in the Air Force used to be to help out these people from the aircraft after preparing them for a jump. But it so happened that when we approached the island, the air traffic controller who was sitting there, in a coded message, he told us that the runway was safe. So there was no need for people to jump out of the aeroplane. The aeroplane could land. When the aeroplane landed there, they felt that there could be a fight and the runway could become unsafe very soon. So they wanted someone on the ground who could control a paradrop, who could guide an aeroplane subsequently to drop paratroopers there. So I was asked to remain with the paratroopers, get down with the paratroopers and stay there for the night. So I saw the complete action throughout the night. And as the aircraft landed there, the terrorists on the other island, they got scared. In the night, they could hear the noise of these IL-76 aircraft, and they were only 80 in number. We thought they were about 500. So we were prepared for a force of 500 terrorists. They thought that we were 1,600. We were only about 350 people in two aircraft. So there was an asymmetry in the mind. They thought they were 80. They thought we were 1,600. We thought they were 500. We were actually 350 or so. So because of that asymmetry, because of that fear in their minds, they got into a ship. They hijacked the ship. They took some hostages on board, and they started running away. They were shot at by our paratroopers who had landed there. They shot at the ship. They tried to damage the ship, but the ship ran away with the hostages. Then the Indian Navy ship on high seas caught hold of it. These terrorists, they killed a hostage and threw him overboard. They didn't want to surrender, but under pressure from the Indian ships, they finally surrendered. So those terrorists were caught. They were brought back to the Maldives, and the president was rescued immediately. Human shield was made around him, and he was brought to a safe place. And rest is history. Because of that operation, that operation proved the prowess of Indian diplomacy and military, and we had such good relations with the Maldives for next 20 years almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can understand that would have been a difficult thing because the airport is on a different island and Malé is on a different
Yes.
island. So
Yes.
that again would have been a problem for you to reach there. Yeah. Another thing which I would like to ask, as you told us about your creative instinct, and this is something because once you are in a different profession and then you explore that you have the potential to do some other things also. So you have turned into an author as you wrote the book in Operation Cactus, but then you started writing fiction, which is an interesting thing, and so many films have been made. If you can elaborate something more on your this creative instinct and your exploration as a fiction writer.
It's very interesting. It didn't happen over a period of time. It happened at one point in time. When I wrote when I started researching Operation Cactus, and I wrote the first few chapters, I'll say first few pages of my book, I took it to my boss, the draft of those first chapter itself. I took the draft to him and I showed it to him because I wasn't a writer before. I'm not a writer now also, but then I took the draft to him to get his approval. And he looked at the draft and he smiled at me and he said, Chordia, this looks like a Salman Rushdie novel. So I was surprised, and I didn't know whether he was being sarcastic or he was appreciating. And then in the same breath, he said that it is too racy. What you have written is too spicy. It doesn't look like you've written history. So I told him one thing. I said, sir, when we read history by many authors, you don't feel like reading it going beyond a certain page. You look for certain facts and figures and you close the book. You don't, when you read it, you don't feel like knowing what happened next. I have taken pains. I have read more than half a dozen history books by authors from different countries. And I have come to the conclusion that when I write history, a person must feel that he is present there and is watching things. That's why I have written it the way I have written. So my boss was a very fine gentleman. He said, Chordia, this is your project. That was just my observation. You write it the way you want to write it. So I told him one thing. I said, sir, I have understood what you are saying. It must not appear like fiction. It must not be too spicy. But then I will still stick to my style of writing. And I wrote the book in the way I wanted to write. And then it was taken very well by people because everyone who read it said that they felt that they were present there and seeing what was happening. So that was a big compliment for me. And once that happened, after retirement, when I had some time and I had certain things in my mind, some experiences, I started writing short stories based on my experiences. I wrote a short story, The Shoeshine Boy. That story was based on my personal experience on a railway station. So somebody read that book, read that story on my blog, and he said, I want to make a film on this. I said, I would be too happy if you make a film on my story. I would be the happiest person on earth. So he made the film, and just about 3 or 4 months back, I came to know that it was shortlisted for 2 international awards. I happened to be there when the awards were being given. I didn't know that it was for the best story. When the award was announced, I was shell-shocked. I was very surprised that my story got the award for the best story, and the actor who played the lead role got the award for the best actor. As a result of that, another story is now the shooting is starting next month in April, and the third one is in the pipeline.
Yeah. So I mean, you will end up as a writer. It appears in films finally, which you would have never thought of. Yeah.
Not really. I actually, when I start writing, the only thing that is there in my mind is that a person reading it must feel a part of the story. He must feel, things must appear, it must appear that things are happening in front of a person's eyes. And that's the focus I put on. I take a lot of pains. I read a lot also. I read a large number of authors in Hindi and English and learn from how they create a scene, how they describe a situation, and devise my own style.
So I mean, this shows that one always has a hidden talent. The only thing is that you find out that you have that talent, and then you have to nurture and to groom that particular talent. So now moving ahead, there are students who are keen in asking questions. So students who are there who want to ask questions, please come on camera. And the names that I have got, Aditya Gosai, would you like to ask a question?
Good evening, sir. Jahan.
Jai Hind.
Sir, you were a special forces instructor. My question to you will be in two parts. Sir, first question is before becoming an instructor, you have to do an instruction course and attain a I grade. So, what challenges you had faced when you were in your instructor's training?
Okay, I'll answer both the questions. I've been an instructor right from the beginning. The day I joined the Air Force, within about 6 months, I was selected to be a parachute jump instructor. And making people jump out of an aircraft is not a simple task. It is not a natural thing to do. A sane person will not open the door of an aeroplane flying at 1200 feet and jump out of it. You have to motivate him. You have to instill that confidence in him. So the art of training people I had picked up as a parachute jump instructor. There the training was very methodical. We used to take them to different apparatuses and prove it to them that it was safer than crossing roads in Delhi. Do you get me? Jumping from an aeroplane is safer than crossing roads in Delhi. That is what we used to instill in them, tell them repeatedly and prove it to them by different means. So that training which I got as an instructor in the paratroopers training school came in handy when I became a special forces instructor. And now let me tell you one thing, that being a special forces person is not a matter of muscle alone. It is not physical strength. It is the mind that works actually. You have to be mentally prepared to live and let die, to be able to save yourself and to kill your enemy. In that regard, the training again is very, very motivational. You keep instilling confidence in your people. You keep instilling confidence of your people in the equipment that is there. In all these special forces, there is something called a buddy system. You know your buddy inside out. You know where he was born, you know his family, you know his problems back at home, and you live every minute of your life with your buddy. So those aspects, as a commander, as a commandant of that unit, I knew my men well, leading them by example. I mean, once we had a dry well in our area, which was level, there was no wall around it. And when we were going around cleaning that area, a dog fell inside. We saw a dog inside. And then people said that it's a dog and it will die after some time. Let's forget about it. So I told my people that it's a dog today, tomorrow it could be a human being. Let's try to take him out. And then, as to set an example to my people, I got myself tied to harness and got myself lowered into the well. I caught hold of that dog and got myself pulled out and took him out. So those very small things, they play on the minds of the people who expect something out of you. And that's how the training goes on.
Yeah. So there are other students like Akriti. Are you there? You want to ask question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
To you is that your life has seen so many shades. So, what was your life-changing moment, and what made you choose Air Force instead of Army?
As I said right in the beginning, that changeover from St. Stephen's to NDA was a deliberate decision. I didn't want too much expense on myself from my family side. So I chose to join the armed forces. And then the silly reason to join the Air Force instead of Army, I wanted to join Army, but it was my second attempt after my school. So they said that in case you change your service, you won't have to pay for your travel to the selection board. That time I was too lazy to write an application, and so I continued in the Air Force.
Nikita, are you there? You want to ask question?
Good evening, both of you.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. So, sir, I wanted to ask that which book motivated you the most And which is the favorite author of yours that you want to tell us about?
I have been reading a lot to improve my own writing. And in that regard, I consider Dominique Lapierre as one of my most favorite authors.
Okay.
And if you ask me which book, it will be difficult to say because I have read almost all his books. Uh, Freedom at Midnight, Is Paris Burning, or I'll Dress You in Mourning. It was 5 past midnight in Bhopal. So many books I have read. The best thing I like about this author is that he laces fact with fiction. I mean, you really do not realize when he's talking about a fact and when he's talking about fiction. And one of the best books of his I recall is A Thousand Suns. In that book, he has written how he has gone about writing all his books. So each chapter is devoted to a book. I mean, he writes how he has researched about a particular book. So since I am interested in writing, I like that book very much because I got insights into how to write.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. Thank you so much, sir.
So moving on, Pratik, ask your question.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So my question is like your journey is very unique, you know, and most people dream the life that you live. So why did you then name your blog Road Much Traveled?
You haven't visited my blog. So I'll tell you about my blog, why I have given that name to my blog. Whatever I have written on my blog is mostly based on my experience, the road which I have traveled, the road which most people travel. So the road much traveled is the thing, and the subtitle says collecting pebbles on the road much traveled. So whatever I write is a pebble. Whatever short stories I write are based on real experiences. That's why I have titled it Road Much Traveled, and the title is Collecting Pebbles on the Road Much Traveled.
Thank you, sir, for answering all the questions of these students. Moving on, we will be moving towards the last segment of the session wherein we will wind it up. If there are any more questions by the students and the teachers, I will request once again to ask, or else I will sum up. Okay, so if I can tell you, I mean, to me, as to what were the important thing that you told us all, and summing up the most important thing that you said, and which is proved by your life journey as well, your adaptability, because you are always, as a student also, as teachers also, we all come across with so many things at different phases in life. And many times it happens that we are not able to adjust to the new things which are coming to us because we are not ready to take all those things in our strides. But if we are adaptable, then obviously all kind of avenues will be there, as is proved by Group Captain Chordia, that he started as a Air Force veteran, and then he turned out finally to be a fiction writer. So nobody knows as to what is there in the store and what kind of talent one has. So one has to keep on exploring things. So keep on exploration is another thing which we can learn from your life, that one should always keep on doing something or the other which is new. And as you said that during the lockdown period you were doing so many new things. So if you are innovative, you're always trying to find out as to what more, what new you can do, then life is always interesting and you can add something more to your life, and you can also contribute to the lives of others. So this is actually another take away from your session. And then the making the best use, optimum use of the opportunities which are coming your way. You should always be willing doing that. You should always be prepared doing that. And as you narrated through your this ITO jam experience, because I have also witnessed the kind of traffic jam which used to be there on just one bridge which was there on the ITO on this Yamuna. So now there are many more, obviously, so life that way has become easy. But then wherein you find that there are something wherein you can contribute in some way, so that giving back to the society or to serve the society within your limitation, within whatever you can do, one should always be prepared. And as you also narrated from your experience of an instructor in the parachute, wherein you have to be mentally strong yourself, and you have to be in a position wherein you can make the other person also mentally strong, that this is something you can always take up and this is achievable, which is very much possible. And if we apply this mantra in our lives, then obviously we will never be stuck, and we will always be prepared to do the things which at the first glance might be looking that's not possible. But when you are determined, you have your strong head, then obviously all that will become possible. So I think these are the important takeaways from your session. And each one of us, all the teachers, all the students have learned all these things from you in today's session. And we are really obliged that you could spare so much time talking to us and telling us all these nice things which are really inspirational to us all. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
The first impression that comes to our mind about any college: tall buildings, big classrooms, large lobby areas, thick books, IT labs, assignments, class tests, and projects. Nothing besides that. Every hour, minute, second spent here help us carving and shaping our persona, cultivating innovative mindsets for the challenging world. Learning is a lifelong process. Sharing knowledge, inculcating values of life, spark the innovative horizons of mind. Fun and frolic is the nature of every nook and corner here. A daily dose of thrill, we are sure to get here.